Oh, well, that might be why. Just tell everybody that we don't need to know.
Hello and welcome to the Part-Time Gamers, the gaming podcast for people with full-time lives. I'm Cyranex, clocking in with my good friend, 9 of 12.
Yeah, other person on the show today.
Yeah, now, granted, this is literally one of the reasons why I wanted to have two co-hosts, just in case one of them had to leave for whatever reason. I would still have one other. But at some point, it would be nice to have both of you on at the same time.
Yeah, well.
Such is life.
Yep.
Yeah, Theo had to something came up for Theo at last minute, so but thankfully Ember is recovered enough. So yeah, had your birthday and then like immediately got COVID right after, which
It's apparently a tradition in my house. Last year, for Rob's birthday, he and his mom and dad got COVID because his is the 10th. And I ended up, well, I was in a hospital with someone else with family for a couple of days. And then I stayed in a hotel to not get COVID for a few days last year. But this year, I got it first, and I don't know where. Maybe Busch Gardens.
yeah, still a thing, still happens.
Yep.
Thankful that you're recovering, not quite all the way there, but recovering nonetheless. So if we have any,
I skipped the Paxlovid this time.
Yeah. So if we have any surprise coughs, and that's the context. All right.
Yep.
With that, let's go ahead and get into our water cooler talk.
You get that thing I sent you?
Yeah. It is kind of a shame that we got rid of the icebreaker because that is one of my favorite bumpers. But anyways, get into our icebreaker talk. Let's go ahead and jump into yours about some games coming out the rest of this month.
Yeah, I was watching some video about all the rest of the games coming out this fall, and I was like, well, let's just talk about September because, I don't know why I'd want to do that. So there's a couple on the 17th is The Plucky Squires coming out on PS5, Xbox, and for PC. That looks like a cute, fun, like literally cutesy kind of game.
Yeah.
Farah, The Sundered Tribes is also coming out on the 17th, just on PC.
Yeah, I haven't.
On the 19th.
I'll have to look up some of these because I was watching the video and they do look really interesting. I have no idea what any of these games are about, so I'll need to look them up.
There's a lot coming out in like the same handful of genres, right? Like you've got world building stuff, you got Zelda like stuff, and you got shooters.
Yeah, the Plucky Squire looks kind of like a Zelda like. So that looks interesting.
And Dead Rising Deluxe Remastered is coming out for PS5, Xbox, and PC. Yay, on the 19th.
Yeah.
This I found interesting. So on the 24th, Epic Mickey Rebrushed is coming out. And that's coming out on PS4, PS5, Xbox, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. I loved that game. I bought that. It came out in 2010 on the Wii, I want to say. It is. Yeah, it was a long time ago. But I got stuck and quit.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I was really bummed. I got stuck on this one part, and there wasn't like you couldn't just do other stuff and come back. I just was stuck, and I gave up. But it's I didn't know they rebrushed and they have a whole lot more content now, and it's on like all the platforms. So nifty.
I'm
out
surprised
there for your Mickey fans.
Yeah, I'm surprised by how many different platforms it's on. Like even last gen platforms, PS4 and Xbox One.
Yeah.
That's surprising to me, but
I guess that's Disney money, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's on the 24th. Also on the 24th is Greedfall 2, The Dying World. That's only on PC. And on the 26th, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom drops for the Switch.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that the Peach game earlier this year also broke from it, but this game and that game are not based on rescuing the princess.
Yeah.
This one, in fact, Link gets kidnapped for a change.
Yeah. I do think that, and I like the fact that it's set in the same world. It has all the same characters. It flips it on flips it on its head by you're playing as the princess this time, saving the quote unquote hero. But I also like the fact that it's not the same gameplay. It's like you're not playing as Link, you're playing as Zelda, and she does not fight the same way as Link does. It seems to be more about the puzzle solving aspect of it than just the regular just raw fighting aspect of it, which I think is a really good switch.
The Zelda games in general I think that's key to the longevity of them, right? It's been switch in style, switch in the animation,
Yeah.
switch in the combination of puzzles or combat or, gathering, even cooking. There's just so much going on, but there's enough change in it. You don't feel like you're just buying a new skin
Yeah.
when you invest in these new games. So I'm really curious to check this one out if I get the opportunity.
I will probably end up checking it out in about 10 years when it goes on sale for the first time.
Yeah, I don't know. But probably if one of my kids buys it, I'll have an opportunity on the Switch. That's how it's been for the last, I don't know how long.
Yeah.
On the 26th, also drops Earth Defense Force World Brothers 2 on PS4, 5, and Switch. I'm Xbox and PS are really doing a lot of backwards compatibility that I think is good for now, and I hope they stick with it a little longer.
Yeah.
Even though there's new consoles coming out. And
Yeah,
on the
which we'll get
30th,
into later.
Starfield Shattered Space comes out for Xbox and PC.
Yeah, Starfield is another game that I've wanted to get back into. It's just it's another in the sea of open world RPGs and everything like that. So like I still have to play through Cyberpunk. Like now that I think that it's pretty much they've released all the content they had planned for Cyberpunk. I think the only kind of updates they're going to be doing is like if there's suddenly some kind of bug that they find or something, like they'll fix that. But I think they're pretty much done with development for Cyberpunk, which I think is a really good time for me to finally get back into it. I mean, I was waiting for one mod to get updated so that I would start playing Cyberpunk again. So I'll probably end up playing that first, but Starfield still has that Bethesda qualities to it, and Skyrim is still high up there on the list. And I actually do like the aesthetic and the kind of like the mechanics of Starfield, so it probably will be one I eventually do get back to. It's good to see that it gets a DLC too.
Yeah, I think it's that Farah game was one that someone mentioned. If you like Monster Hunter, that's kind of in that vein. I could be wrong. One of these games.
Yeah, that was one on the list that I was like, I need to check this out because it looks from the video, it looks really cool, but I have heard nothing about this, so I'll have to look that up later to see what kind of gameplay it is. All right, and I also want to mention that in the video they don't stop just in September. They do go into October as well, and there's some pretty good, interesting ones in there too. But we'll get into those another time.
Yeah, they do the entire fall, like they're doing
Yeah.
this quarter, like kind of what's left this quarter dropping. So if you want to check out the video in our show notes,
Yeah,
or in the chat if you're
Yeah,
watching on video,
it
they'll
is-
cover more games too. There at IGN.com.
yeah. Like one game in particular that I'm really looking forward to. It only took them like 9 years to finally get it on PC. They're doing a remaster or a remake of Until Dawn, and it's going to be on PC. And for those who are kind of unaware, or like anyone who has heard of the Dark Pictures anthology, all of those games, Man of Medan, there's like about half a dozen games in that kind of genre where it really focuses on choices matter and everything. It kind of started at Until Dawn. That was one of their first games that they made, and it has been PlayStation exclusive up until next month, when they're finally going to be releasing on PC. And we'll probably end up talking about it for Scary Games next month. Spoiler alert. So, because I think it comes out like the 4th of October or something like that. So we'll probably end up talking about that. Anyway, yeah, it's a really cool list of games for, that's just the next couple of weeks. So you don't have to wait too long for those.
Yeah,
right.
busy month.
Yeah, definitely. All right, even though he's not here, Theo did leave us an article, which still kind of baffles me, like why this is even a thing, but all right. Italian authorities bust a $52 million video game trafficking ring, with criminals smuggling pirated games and bootleg consoles from China.
You don't know why this would be a thing?
Well, like they mentioned,
retro games are huge right now, and this is mostly like retro consoles.
Yeah, but why would you buy bootleg stuff when you can just get it on legitimate stuff now? There's, well, not necessarily legitimate, but let's,
But
like,
you can't.
well, like they mentioned like the 4th paragraph, especially like where even basic Raspberry Pis and other smart devices can easily emulate the retro gaming era without any real issue.
Yeah.
It's like,
But I mean, when people want the thing that really looks like the thing,
No.
and
okay, I didn't factor in that part. To me, it's like I don't care about the consoles. Just like I just want to play the games. So it's like to me this is weird. But now that you mentioned that, it's like, yeah, I could see something like this happening. To like, I imagine someone like Dunaway would be like the target audience for these kind of bootleg stuff. Because it is like it's I'm assuming it looks at least like the old stuff.
and it doesn't say how they were sold. Like this might
Yeah.
be the same stuff that our friends are buying. Like, but
Maybe.
it's they're using eBay or whatever reselling or. And then they just got caught because when you
Yeah.
order stuff online, a lot of times it's coming from China. And
Yeah.
like, oh, I didn't notice it was coming from China until it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, the fact that it is $52 million, and they said like
Yeah.
12,000 seized consoles, pirated games, and stuff like that. That's
Interesting charges too. Like it didn't meet European safety standards, right? And
Yeah.
tech standards. They
like
got them on a technicality. It's not like the console companies going after them for pirating.
well, yeah. I mean, considering like it says most of these I think are primarily from the 80s. It's like reports seem to suggest that the era of retro gaming being pulled for in this operation was primarily the 80s, since Sega and Atari don't make any consoles in the 90s. So they're kind of banking on, it's like, hey, we got these consoles from Sega and Atari, and that's like probably the big draw for buying by selling them and everything for those specific bootleg models. So yeah, this is
Now
definitely
it's counterfeiting, so they're
yeah.
screwed.
But yeah, I find it kind of funny. It's like for me, so there's my retro. One of my like big retro stories is I used to work at an Olive Garden, and one of the chefs in the Olive Garden heard that I like playing video games and stuff like that. So he asked me, just like, hey, do you like retro games? It's like, yeah, I think they're pretty cool. Yeah, I don't mind them. He's like, okay, I'll hook you up. And like the next day he got me I think it was actually like a McDonald's branded thumb drive, USB drive, that apparently had like almost complete library of ROMs for Nintendo and Super Nintendo games, and the emulator to play them all on the one drive. So it's like, cool. I took that home. I might actually still have that stuff saved on my old computer. I don't know. But what was funny was he was intending to just let me borrow that. By the time I was able to bring it back, because it might have been a weekend or something like that, like the next time I came in to give it back to him, he was fired. So I had that. I just like obviously I didn't no idea where he went, so I just kept it for a while, and eventually, I think I'm pretty sure I copied all of it onto that old computer, and then actually gave the thumb drive as like a white elephant gift or something like that. Uh, so, but yeah, that's basically the extent of my. Oh, and also, so one other random story. My brother-in-law at one point had what he referred to as the Mex box. It was an old, like an original Xbox that everything was in Spanish, and the all it had on it was like retro games and the emulators for them. Oh, I have no idea where he got this. I have no idea if he even still has it. But that just amused me, the fact that you refer to it as the Mex box. But that's like a lot of the extent of my like retro experience. Oh, so yeah, I'm just kind of amazed that is $52 million in this bootleg market. But yeah, they got busted in Italy.
Yep.
Yep. All right, and lastly for this segment, we're going to talk about probably one of the biggest news stories this past week. Oh, PlayStation has announced their PlayStation 5 Pro model, and the article specifically I linked I think is one like it did not go over as well as they were hoping. At least as far as the internet is conveying, because the price tag is $700 for this mid-step console. It's not a PlayStation 6. It's a PlayStation 5 Pro, and
It's just a graphics upgrade.
barely even that. I mean, it is like we're getting this stage of diminishing returns, where in order to push ahead any aspect of gaming, it takes a huge amount of technological advancement, and all that stuff to make even the smallest increments now. And like the article that I chose specifically is talking about these graphics, and you can see. I think it's not in the article. There's another article I saw where it showed comparisons, it's like side by side comparisons of some of the games that are out now and how they'll look in the PS5 Pro, and it might just be the fact that I'm looking at them on the same monitor, but I literally could not tell any difference, none whatsoever, and that like we're getting to the point where the differences in graphical quality are indistinguishable to the human eye, where it's like, I think
Yeah, like the primary difference here being like the cooling system, and it looks a little different, and it doesn't have a disk drive. And for me, that's like an anti-selling point. Like my part of the decision to buy my last console was that's how we play Blu-rays and DVDs, because we don't have any other players in the house.
Yeah. I mean, for me, that's not that's irrelevant. Oh, but we're all, like my even my PC doesn't have a disk drive. We have Blu-ray players elsewhere in the house, and the thing is, I actually don't even know if we own any actual Blu-rays. We went straight to streaming, so. For me personally, that's an irrelevant point. But it's like $700. It's like
I threw so away. I got rid of like a gross of videotapes. I don't want to like throw away all my DVDs yet.
yeah,
I own this stuff because I want to watch it now and again.
yeah. I mean, the major thing is, for me at least, like I've mentioned before on the show, I don't own the only thing remotely close to a console that I own is my Switch Lite, which I don't even use anymore, and mostly my kids have been playing Slime Rancher on it lately. The only console that I would buy to actually take upstairs on our big TV and play up there is a Switch. And primarily, I would want to do that for whatever games I would want to play with my kids. For games I want to play with for myself, I have my PC here. I mean, now, granted, if you compare for strictly video games, comparing a $700 PS5 Pro versus the like $2,000 computer that I bought 2 years ago, yeah, there's a pretty big difference in costs there. And that's actually, I think I spent like $1,200 or something like that on this one. But like going up to like $2,000 and everything like that for a comparable computer to the $700 PS5 Pro for like that kind of fidelity. Yeah, it's a pretty big difference. But the thing is, I can play VR. I can record this podcast. I can do whatever else I want with this computer, which is one of the reasons why I want that rather than a console. And then in addition to it, I can play these games in pretty good, quality that I appreciate. So for me
It's a
personally,
use case thing.
yeah,
For some people, consoles are still the thing.
yeah,
Whether it's a Switch like for us, it was the Wii, but it was Nintendo consoles, and still, that's what sits in the living room to play with the kids, or when the kids have a bunch of friends over, you got your Mario Party, and that kind of stuff. And with the Xbox One, Rob and I can play Diablo together in the living room. We can play the golf games we were playing last month.
yeah,
Rob and I would play together, sitting in the living room, which is something that we're not going to sit next to each other in front of a monitor and do.
yeah.
So if couch co-op is part of your life and part of your family play,
Yeah. Yeah. Which up until this point, it hasn't really been a thing for me. Like my wife wants nothing to do with games or anything. She does all of her computing is on her phone usually. Oh, so but it's getting to the point where my kids are getting old enough that they actually want to start playing some games. It's one of the reasons, they went to a family friend's place for a little bit, and their kids were playing Slime Rancher on their Xbox, and that's how my kids got hooked on it. So I was actually the one Nintendo sale that I've seen in a long time. They had the Switch version of Slime Rancher on sale for like $5. So I got it for them so they can keep playing it. And that's something they do a lot of nights is they'll usually play for about half an hour each, straight off and everything. But they're getting to the point where they're actually showing interest in playing video games. So supposedly there's supposed to be there's rumors or hints of rumors that there's going to be a new version of the Switch announced early next year, which I hope is the case because that could be motivation for me to buy it for, depending on how much it is, try to buy it for my oldest kid, or at least say that's for her and end up using it mostly myself. But have that hooked up upstairs so we can play. There's apparently going to be another Mario Party game released next month. Those on the video that Ember was showing. But yeah, getting back to the PS5 Pro.
I found a leak.
What's
Found
it?
a leak.
Oh, is
The
there?
Nintendo, the Switch 2 price was leaked as $400.
That's not too bad. In comparison to $700.
Right?
Yeah.
But apparently it looks like the announcement will happen early next month. So
Ooh,
we'll know soon.
nice. Cool. I hope that's the case, but I'd like to plan for that because I'd like to actually be able to spend some time playing games with my kids.
Yeah.
But I've
loved that about the Wii.
Yeah.
You're the bowling and,
Yeah.
the kids don't want to play with me anymore.
But that's another thing that I even mentioned in this article is we're talking about buying the Switch, even though it is the least powerful, the least graphically impressive console of the major three consoles, but it has the games we like. it's and
We'll play.
the new version
The
of the
games on the
Switch.
the PlayStation and the Xbox, like you'd just as soon play on your PC.
Yeah,
And I think a
exactly.
lot of people feel the same about it.
Yeah. I mean, especially for me, is like I would rather play most of these games on my PC. Oh, because it's usually comes with better, like much more options. You can usually get mods on there. You can get like keyboard and mouse on certain games and everything. So it's just I like the form
For
factor of
me,
my
it's different
PC.
because my primary home use computer is a Mac.
Yeah,
So
that
the
is true.
Xbox gives me accessibility to a wide range of PC type games. I can get full value out of my Game Pass and do
Yeah,
couch co-op
yeah,
and have a DVD player without buying
yeah,
another.
yeah. Like this of course was brought up on Core this past week. I know I reference Core a lot, but they do their show with Thursdays or Fridays, and they have a
I don't
lot of
listen very often because I am way behind all the
oh,
time. But
but yeah,
thanks, Core, because
yeah,
I'm
they
playing World of Warcraft now again because I won your contest.
yeah, just which is nice. At some point, I need to once you get leveled up, and we can join up because like everything is cross faction, cross realm
Yeah.
now, so we'll have to do some stuff together.
Oh,
But
I've been sick. It's been killing me. I'm
no,
like,
yeah,
Shane is playing.
oh
And I'm
yeah,
like, I
and
will
in fact, I
till
think he's
4 in the
streaming
morning.
right
I'm too
now.
sick to stay up. Yeah.
But
Yeah, after the show, I'll probably head over there. And I need people to carry me through stuff. I'm bad
yeah,
at this now. I haven't played since, like, what was, shoot, Shadowlands. Like,
yeah,
turned into Chorecore, and I quit playing, and then everything hit the fan at Blizzard, and I wouldn't give them any money. So I haven't
yeah,
played in years.
yeah. Well, like prior to the Metzen coming back, the last time I had played was like I think just be like the tail end of Cataclysm. It was literally
Wow.
like a decade ago,
That's
and
like
then
when I
it's
got in.
yeah, like well, man, I got into World of Warcraft. I think literally like 2 months after it came out of beta,
Oh,
like
I got
like officially
in
released.
at the end of Lich, beginning of Cataclysm. So
Yeah. Oh man, Lich King
anyway,
was great memories. Anyway, oh, I was going to say something and then just didn't. But yeah,
it's okay.
I can't warrant. Oh, I don't remember.
Consoles. Who can warrant a PS5? People are picked.
Yeah,
I feel like it's their audience is people that like a couple of games that only they have.
yeah,
Is and have an imaginary sense of what they can see for graphics. I have a
yeah,
son like this who buys monitors like your eyes can't even perceive that frame rate,
yeah,
right? And he insists like those people
yeah,
are paying $700 for better graphics.
yeah. But yeah, like one of the things that they speculated on Core. This is what I was remember what I was going to say. One of the things that they speculated on Core, the reason why it is $700 is because they're no longer like it seems like they're no longer doing a lost leader. That this is actually like how much it costs to make the console and gain a profit off of it. Oh, so that could be a reason why it's so much higher. Oh, because a lot of like Xbox consoles and stuff are a lost leader where it actually they're losing money on the consoles themselves in order to gain money on the games and such. Oh, I don't know. Either way, it's like I'm not the target demographic for this. Oh, I like I said, I do almost everything I do on PC. Oh,
Help.
so it's just it's a thing, and so if you're a big PlayStation fan, like the one thing I that was the one thing that is kind of the silver lining out of this potentially is, but with the release of the PlayStation 5 Pro, maybe the price of the PlayStation 5 baseline will go down, or it's like in real resale markets, maybe. So, I mean, that could be a silver lining to it, but I don't know. All right. Before we get back to work, I'd like to mention our Patreon, patreon.com/PTGcast. If you like what you're hearing, like our discussion on these different topics, and like to help us out a little bit, $1, $5, $10, it all helps us each month. We really do appreciate it over at patreon.com/PTGcast. With that, let's go ahead and get back to work.
Morning break is over. Morning break is over.
All right, continuing our theme of VR essentials. This is another one that kind of came out early in the VR life cycle. I think originally came out on the HTC Vive, but it's on Steam as well now, so you can play it on pretty much anything. It's called Space Pirate Trainer. And developed and published by iLlusions. It is currently $14.99 on Windows via Steam. Obviously, you need a VR headset to play it. But it is basically I'm referring to it as a first-person VR platform shooter. The reason why I refer to it as a platform shooter is because you're not moving around. You are staying.
But you're not platforming.
Well, you're not platforming, but you're on a
You're
platform.
just standing on a platform.
Yeah, that's why I refer to it as a platform shooter, because you're in one spot.
Okay.
I don't know. Like it saying it that way.
I just
like,
explaining for people out there, it's not
Yeah.
platforming. Don't worry. You're not going to have to jump up and down your stairs and run out
Yeah.
your door with your VR headset.
although there
try
are
and
games that
get
do
up
that
to the
too,
next
but
level.
which are interesting. But yeah, this is the reason why I call it a platform shooter is because you're standing stationary basically on this platform as these waves of different robots come off up onto the horizon and everything, and basically you're just fighting these different waves of these robots trying to get as far as you can.
It's like 3D Galaga or Space Invaders.
Almost,
is what
yeah.
it made me think of.
That probably would have been a better description of it, but that's not what I came up with. So
That's what I'm here for.
exactly, I appreciate that. But what's unique about this game is, you start off with these pistols. That's where your controllers basically are controlling, and it'd be difficult to shoot robots if you didn't have any kind of weapon. But what I really like
Speed
about
at them.
yeah. What I really like about this is, even though the concept of it is pretty simple, where this is literally the whole game is just you're fighting these waves of these small like spherical robots that are flying around. They're shooting at you and you're trying to dodge out of the way and block them and everything like that. So the concept behind it is pretty simple. But the execution of it is actually really well done and does have greater complexity to it. Because each of these guns, you can hold up to 2 guns. Each of them has 6 different modes of fire. And each of them is like, you can kind of based off your preference, kind of based off what kind of enemies you're fighting and stuff like that. You can decide on the fly, just by flicking the joystick on the controllers, which weapon you want to use, which fire mode. So the default is a powerful single shot semi-auto, to kind of typical pistol mode, which actually is pretty powerful. It's I believe the only mode that actually has a laser sight to it to help with aiming. So that's usually my go-to. I like that style of weapon in general. I like powerful semi-auto weapons in most games I play. But they do have like a machine gun mode, rapid fire mode. They have like the guide that I found on Steam refers to it as burst fire, but it's actually kind of like a shotgun mode. But it fires very rapidly, which is, I like that one too. Although that you really need to use that for bursts or like the bigger enemies, trying to get as many of those shots onto the target as possible. Because trying to take a lone drone with that fire mode is actually very difficult because it doesn't travel as quickly. There's a little bit of lag for that fire mode, whereas like the semi-auto mode is immediate. It's just I guess it would be, I think that's what hit scan refers to, is where it's like just an immediate hit. I think that's what that means. There's a beam mode, which is just fires a constant beam as long as the energy is there. And what's kind of unique about that is you can actually cross the beams together to make an even more powerful beam if you're dual wielding it. Which is, it's a little bit difficult, but it still has its use. It's still powerful. So that's kind of interesting. There's the one mode that's considered like the best is the railgun mode, which is just like a charge shot. So you hold down the trigger, it charges the shot up, and then you release the trigger, it fires the shot. And that mode can actually take out almost any of the regular enemies in one shot if you hit. That's the problem, is you have to hit, and it takes a couple seconds for it to charge up. So that's one of the ones that I actually kind of avoid most of the time. But if you're good with it, it's actually one of the most powerful modes. And the last one is actually a grenade launcher mode, which is I've used a couple times, and it's really, really good for like densely packed enemies. So like one of the you can also get power-ups or pickups during the game as well. One of them actually creates a localized black hole. So all of your enemies are just kind of centralized into that one area. That's a perfect time to do the grenade launcher. Just take out a bunch of enemies, because it's difficult to aim.
I didn't get to see that happening. I did see some grabbing stuff and throwing it around, and
Yes.
some leveling up with turrets and shields, and like I watched somebody who played way high level, and they had an insane amount of stuff going on.
Yeah, so like I did a little bit of my own gameplay footage, which is basically just enough to like see the game. I'm not very good at this because I honestly forgot that there was turrets and stuff like that in this. So I actually have never used them. There's actually a little like tutorial box when you start in the starting menu just to your right that tells you all a bunch about this stuff. And I finally decided to scroll through that, which I don't think I've ever done before. And it's like, oh, there's turrets around here. And it's like, sure enough, like off to your left side,
Going in
off to
like,
your right.
what's this do? What's this do?
Yeah.
But
And that kind of brings up like one of the other options that you can do. You can either dual wield, or if you actually like literally reach back behind you and pull back down, you'll pull out it's like a combination shield, almost laser sword type thing. And it has those two modes. You can either do like a larger shield, which you can use to defend yourself, but obviously you're down to one hand with your other weapon. And but the other option is this almost like electrified. I don't want to say it's like a laser sword, because it's like a rod that has a laser going down one side of it. But you can use that. It's more precise than the shield, but you can still use that to.
oh, and you can like bat things away with it
Yes, that's actually something I found out. This
into
like you
other
can,
things.
yeah, you can, when you pull the trigger, it makes this big electrical arc, and you use that as almost like a tractor beam type effect, where you can grab a robot, pull them in. And I didn't realize you could actually use it as a sword, though, because I know you can use it to defend. You can deflect bolts back at the enemies and stuff like that, Jedi style. But I didn't realize, like, if you pull them in, you can actually just slice them in half using it too. But you can also use that to power the turrets. So it's like you point around, you point at the turret behind you, and you pull the trigger for the electrical art. It powers the turret.
Okay.
So that's how you can go around and power. And there's like, I know there's like 2 turrets and some kind of other device to your left. I honestly couldn't tell you what they do, because I don't think I've ever actually used them in a game. I have completely forgotten that they even exist. But I imagine like they'd actually be helpful to use. But
I just want to let our audio listeners know that as you're talking about it, you're automatically reaching like you
Right, like in different
would when you're
directions and
playing
not
the
describing.
game toward where
Yeah.
the stuff is.
yeah, because like I'd be facing the same direction in my little play area, which is actually just to my left. So yeah, it's like in the world, it's like you have one that's off to your left behind you. You have this like almost I think it's a shield thing. I don't know, but you have this one thing like immediately to your left, and there's another one like on the ceiling to your right. but they all seem different. So I'm assuming they all function differently. Like I said, I've completely forgotten to use them. I get just so focused on shooting the drones in front of me that I forget that
On the
there's
next
others.
level in, Space Invaders or
Yeah. Oh, but now that I actually know that they exist, and also now that I know that there's actually unlocks in the game, I'm probably actually going to keep playing this because it's also a really good workout. Oh, just like I'm sure from the footage that I sent you, you saw how much I had to move around and like avoid the bolts and everything. Oh,
Yeah, and you couldn't get the sound to go through, so all I heard was your breathing. So yeah, it sounded like you were getting a workout.
yeah. Yeah, that's something that like because my VR system is still pretty new, I need to like figure out how to do all the audio routing. I had it working for the lab last week,
And I don't
but
know what you're using for a mic.
it's actually the mic that's
you had
on
a lav, or-
the headset.
Oh, it's on the headset. Oh,
Yeah,
neat.
there's like actually just the and this is the last gen model. This is the Quest 2, but in these is this in this I actually have it on screen. This is actually where the speaker and the microphone are. Is in the side
Okay.
of the
In the sidebar
There's like actually if you
thing
I'm assuming
the headband's attached to.
yeah,
Gotcha.
I'm assuming this little thing right here is the microphone. Oh, maybe, I don't know. But it's actually functions pretty well as you could tell by my intense breathing on the
I mean, I love this
footage.
idea. Maybe I'll have a VR headset someday. I don't right now. But the getting up and moving around, like I
Yeah.
miss it with my Wii, right?
Yeah.
And the Joy-Cons don't quite do that for you. And
Yeah.
VR headset, I think is the next step toward getting me and my kids off our asses because we like video games.
Yeah. And this one's pretty good. Like
Pokemon Go only goes so far.
yeah. I mean, this one's nice because you're not really moving around all that much. You're standing in one spot. Like, I'm assuming you could probably sit in one spot as well if you really need to. Might make it a little more difficult to dodge because dodging is moving around. Dodging is pretty heavily
And
involved.
ducking
Yeah. Although it only detects basically where your head is. So like you can actually like it doesn't register where your body is. So if a laser like goes to where your body would be, it doesn't register it as a hit. Oh, but yeah, that's one thing about this is it's trying to think of what I was trying to say. Like with the dodging and everything, when a bolt starts coming close to you, it actually goes into a little bit of like bullet time. So it actually kind of slows down time so you can like look and dodge and everything like that. I'm still pretty terrible with that because I get hyper focused on one enemy and don't realize like what other enemies are nearby. But it does give you that little bit of time to dodge, a little bit of time to prepare yourself, get a shield up, that kind of stuff. And you can actually use that offensively to a degree. Like the semi-auto pistol mode fires as quickly as you can pull the trigger. And it doesn't matter whether it's regular speed or bullet time speed. So you can actually like purposely let one of the bolts get close to you so it activates that bullet time, dodge out of the way, and then just unload with the pistol mode, and it actually effectively would fire faster.
Does it have difficulty settings for that kind of thing? Or
There are different modes. There is like the one that I was playing is the primary mode is the arcade mode. But they also have, I believe, what's called an explorer mode, which you actually regain health back each round, I believe. But you get less points overall. There was one mode, there's a party mode. I've never used it before. I don't know exactly.
yeah, it made me wonder if it had co-op or
like it might be have like, I imagine a party mode would be kind of maybe like past the headset kind of mode.
yeah,
Where just like people are competing to see
plug
how
it
far
into
they
your
can
TV
get.
and pass the headset. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can think of. I've never played that mode before. So I'm not entirely sure. And that's one thing that's kind of surprising about this game is there's a surprise, like even on the wiki, it doesn't tell you a whole lot of details. So like, yeah, there's not a whole lot of details on this. I found a guide on Steam that talked about like some strategies and stuff like that. But overall, I think this is actually to me like a real. I like VR shooters in general. Like there's another game that I have called Zero Caliber, which if you get motion sickness, I would highly recommend not playing that game because it involves a lot of movement and stuff like that, and you're actually having to move around and stuff like that. And even for me, I don't get motion sickness pretty much at all, but even after like maybe about an hour of playing that, it does start to kind of affect my equilibrium a little bit.
Yeah, I worry about that with VR headsets for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't get motion sickness in real life, but I get it in games sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Which I think this would be a good option for you if you do want to play that kind of get up and move around kind of game, because there is no movement. You're staying in one spot.
right.
So I think this would be a good option for that. Like even a couple other games that I could think of where it's, standing up and moving around, stuff like that. There's a lot of moving in the game as well. So that still might not be a good option. This one I think would be a good one. And even like we discussed last week, the lab is another really good option just to like kind of test the waters of VR, because they have a lot of different options for kind of intensity of the game. And one thing about Valve, like I really want to get my hands on Half-Life Alyx, because one thing Valve really prides themselves on, something they do very well in VR especially, is their movement options to try to make the VR experience as smooth as possible. I'm the one that I can do good with the continuous option, which is you're pushing the stick and you're moving in that direction in VR. But I know there's a lot of people where it's like that would just completely throw them off. So they have like usually they have kind of like a teleportation option where you push the stick and it actually shows you a location that you can travel to. And it'll either, like in the lab, it has two different options where it kind of like rushes you over there, or it just like kind of quickly fades to black and comes back in that zone. So it has, Half-Life Alyx has all of those options on it. Again, I've heard it's just a really good game in general. So, but in regards to this one, you're not moving around, you're just shooting stuff. And like I said, even though the concept behind the game is pretty simple, just the execution, the different options that you have, the intensity of it, I think it's a great game. And actually talking about it this week and playing a little bit of it, and again, knowing that there's a bunch more stuff that I haven't gotten into, and like now looking at this guide and seeing how I can play better, I kind of want to try it more. I mean, it could be a good workout too. So I think this is the reason, one of the reasons why I have this as a VR essential is because it is one of those games that I think is a good starting place for VR. Oh. And in regards to part-time gaming, it's like you can go through a whole match in like if you're really good, like 20 minutes. Probably less than that. Most of the ones that I was playing for the footage I sent September and Theo were like maybe 5 minutes each. I really need to practice at it, but overall I just find it really fun. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it. I love this style of shooter. It's the VR shooters and everything. Like actually feeling like you're shooting at the targets. Oh, yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. At some point,
I'm trying to look up what we're doing next week.
Yeah. Oh, right. I need to show notes. I never even remember to actually write those occasionally. Oh, yeah. I'm really looking forward to next week too. But before we get to that, everyone, if you like what you've heard, like to help us out, a couple ways you can do that is you can give us a review over on Apple Podcasts. You can follow my Twitch and or YouTube channels for our live recordings Sunday nights starting at 9:15 Eastern time. Or you can become one of our patrons over at patreon.com/PTGcast. If you'd like to contact us, you can with our email, parttimegamers.cast@gmail.com. or you can join our Discord channel. We have a community forum in there, and it's a good way to talk directly to us. And I'm on there pretty much every day. All right, everyone, thank you for listening. Please join us next week for our discussion of what I still consider to be another VR essential. And it's like, if you have VR, you're going to probably want to get this game, Beat Saber. Yeah, another good one for getting up, and this Beat Saber definitely is a good exercise. They literally have a song on there called Fitbeat, where you have to so a few weeks
Talk about
ago.
it next week.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention a few weeks ago I put a message out on Threads and Twitter that it's like, say you're middle-aged without saying you're middle-aged. I need to stretch before I play Beat Saber. So it's definitely a pretty good program. We'll talk about that next week, though. Yeah, I'm Sean. You can find the show and the rest of my work and the links to my socials, including our Discord channel and my Twitch and YouTube channels and the Apple Podcast listing using the link bit.ly/CI Productions. Ember, where can people find you around the internet? Oh, you are muted.
I was coughing and stuff.
Well,
but
I
you can go
appreciate
to
that.
9to12.com and find all my stuff.
All right. And Theo, you can find his work, at least some of his work, over at swellcast.com/thatoneweirdo and rabbitinredradio.com. All right. And then until next time, and Beat Saber, we are the part-time gamers clocking out.